All right. Hey guys, this is Waylon Lewis and
Dean Jarahian.
Jarahian. Well, I'm glad I had you say that. And luckily, most of you don't tune in for this first 2 minutes while we're dropping things. So I am here with the founder of Jade Yoga. And Dean and I go back
12 years, maybe?
12 years, back to when we were kids. So Jade Yoga is one of the bigger yoga companies on the planet. And it has a lot to do with the planet, which is why we're going to talk about them. But this isn't a commercial. This is actually about you and your health and me and my environmentalism. And so anyone out there who's practicing yoga, you should know that almost all yoga mats are made out of what?
They're made out of PVC, which is polyvinyl chloride.
And why is that bad?
Well, polyvinyl chloride is a petroleum-based product, so it's not made sustainably. It's made from oil. And it contains vinyl chloride, which is a known carcinogen. Also, usually will contain phthalates, which are endocrine disruptors and have other health problems.
Okay, slow down real quick. So, known carcinogen, that means cancer causing? Is that what that means?
Yes.
So that's crazy. So you're practicing yoga on something that is known to be cancer causing in its creation and in its eventually when you toss out the yoga mat or whatever happens.
It's really the two worst times in the period of the yoga mat are the beginning when it's first made and the vinyl chloride is out there. Workers are exposed to vinyl chloride, and the end when it's disposed of, it'll either break down the environment and release that vinyl chloride back to the environment, or also it contains lead, phthalates. If it's burned, it'll create dioxin, which is another known carcinogen. It's really interesting. There's not that many known carcinogens in the world, but vinyl chloride and dioxin are two of them, and they're both in most people's yoga mats today, and they don't know it.
So this is something I've been talking about, not because I'm a genius, but because I found it out and I had what we Zen Buddhist people would call beginner's mind. I found this out like 10 years ago or whatever, that especially at the time, all yoga mats were PVC. And I was so horrified by that as an environmentalist, that yoga, which is this amazing community that is, from my perspective growing up as a Buddhist, I looked at yoga, the yoga community is like outgoing and healthy and really exciting and cares about the world and empathetic, but then we're literally practicing the literal foundation of our yoga practice is hypocritical and bad for the planet, and also bad for us and our children.
Right, it is kind of crazy. It's ironic that you're doing this healthy practice, and most yogis will be extremely healthy. They'll eat healthy. They care about the earth. Yeah, they don't know what they're practicing on.
Right.
And I don't blame them. I think that the yoga industry has done a really nice job of keeping that part quiet. And it really is important that you know what you're practicing on.
Amen. So one of our, we literally call this video series Walk the Talk Show. So the important thing with anybody's spiritual path, and I encourage all of you, as we always do, to leave comments, say where you're from, which is always fun, and we're going to give out a discount to Jade Yoga products today, and it'll be good right now, so it'll be free shipping. But I also want to talk about cork, which is one of the best things on earth, but only if it's done right. Plastic, the new plastic corks in wine bottles, I've done some articles on that. Please boycott those and use corks in wine corks, but they're also great for blocks, but we'll get to that in a second. So you make an alternative, so maybe just give us an idea, like what's in this? This is your newest, like greenest one, right?
Right. This is this is our new elite mat. This is not even available on the market yet, so you're gonna have to wait a few weeks before you do that. It actually has the Harmony label on it, but it's the elite mat.
Okay.
So all of our mats are made of natural rubber. So natural rubber comes from a rubber tree. So it's tapped like maple syrup, and it's just a pure liquid that comes out of the tree. And the trees aren't even cut down to make the syrup. The syrup's then converted into a solid, at which point we make it into the mat.
So are there any issues with rubber?
Rubber, if you have a latex allergy, our mats are what's called dry natural rubber, which is slightly different than latex mats. So they're not as bad for you if you have a latex allergy. We still recommend to stay away from rubber if you have a latex allergy.
And if you're shopping for a mattress, which is something I did relatively recently, it's also a huge subject. There's synthetic rubber and there's natural rubber mattresses. I'm sure that's the same with this stuff, right?
Right. So there's synthetic rubber out there is also called SBR, and it's really just a chemical that somebody's named rubber, and
right.
It's
so you really have to know practice on a mat that's actually good for you and good for your practice and good for your children, your pets, anyone who's going to be around that mat, and the planet, the landfill eventually, or whatever you're going to do with it. Maybe we could talk about cool things to do with your yoga mats once you've tired them out.
Yeah.
But you have to use natural rubber. Or do we need to be concerned about dyes or?
Well, there's certainly
Anything?
are issues out there about what's inside the mat, and we try to pay really close attention to that, because the science is always changing as to what is and what is not good. We unfortunately can't use all 100% natural products in our mats, so there are some synthetics in there. We do our best to make sure that they are non-toxic, and if we find something comes to our attention, as it did 10 years ago, we found out that our mat contained phthalates, which really is another problem with PVC mats, is phthalates, and we removed them immediately as soon as we found out. We found an alternative to phthalates, and we took them out.
And we were just talking with Bess and Dave. We're in Elephant headquarters in Boulder. What was your prior job, just so people know where you're coming from, that you actually care this isn't some sort of sales pitch?
I was a lawyer for the Environmental Protection Agency in Philadelphia, where I enforced environmental laws, mostly dealt with cleaning up Superfund sites that were old factories that were abandoned, chemical, on that front. Then I dealt with the Clean Air Act and enforced rules regarding dioxin emissions, which is where I learned about dioxin, the dangers of dioxin. I did that for about 7 years.
Yeah.
And at that point, I felt like there was an opportunity in the marketplace to go out and produce products the way they should be produced. So we make them as eco-friendly, and this is sort of the Jade mantra. We're going to make them form as best as anything on the market. We're going to make them as eco-friendly or more as anything on the market. We're going to make them in the U.S. so we can really control how they're made and what goes in them.
Well, this is a key point, because rubber that's made overseas or sourced overseas or whatever, you were saying this before, you don't really know what goes into it.
You don't know what goes in. I mean, this is, it's unfortunate this happens, but you hear about the glasses in the Happy Meals being painted with lead paint, or my own cat was poisoned by cat food that came out of China a few years ago because it contained melamine.
Poisoned to death?
She had to go kidney diet.
But she's okay?
She eventually died, but she was okay. She recovered from that, but we had to go through treatment because what happens when you lose control of production is they were filling the cat food and dog food, and this happened to thousands of cats and dogs in the U.S. So they were eating this melamine, and they were getting sick. They were getting kidney disease from what was in the was in the dog food that were in the cat food. There's other issues with the environmental production in Asia that makes us want to produce in the U.S.
You were talking about cork. So cork is one of the greenest things on earth, potentially. It comes from the cork tree, and it's harvested off the cork tree, and the tree can live, and it provides jobs for cork farmers and for homes for tons of animal diversity. But that's only, you were saying, if you know where it's actually coming from.
Yeah, it's always, if you want to do this right, you really need to ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And I only recently learned that the difference between cork from China and cork from Portugal is the cork from Portugal is harvested from the tree, like Waylon said, and use the bark of the tree, which regrows. So the cork trees, you can harvest the bark off about every 7 or 8 years, and then it regrows and you harvest it again. So that's what a classic sustainable resource. You can keep remaking it. The cork in China is actually, the trees are chopped down. They're not cork trees. They're a cousin of the cork tree, and the trees are chopped down. They're ground up like wood chips, and they're pressed together, and it's not sustainable because you're cutting the trees down.
Right. Same with bamboo. Bamboo sourcing can be really sketchy, but it's always pitched as a sustainable thing. So we have a question. So if you have any questions, folks, as Chris just did, ask them. Say where you're from, how your day is. We have a pretty cool offer from Dean, just out of the goodness of his heart, free shipping, and. Before we move on to the good things that Jade is doing, which are really pretty impressive. From my point of view, I run a pretty ethical, walk our talk kind of business, and you're doing a lot of stuff that I...
You said you're not on the camera on that.
We're both like in the corners. So Facebook Live, we have to film this with our phone. So Dean and I have never felt so close.
It's really nice being this close to you.
Yeah, we feel this close because we are this close.
I would have brushed my teeth. But.
Yeah, sorry, I'm all sweaty. It's Colorado, So we had a good question, just a straightforward question from Chris Hicks. So what's inside your mat? And let's talk about this Super Eco one, because that's the one we want to push. When it comes out in a month or whatever, what's actually in here?
So all our mats start, the base is rubber. It's natural rubber, comes out of the rubber tree, and that is the bulk of what's in the mat. Now we also have inside, literally in the middle of the mat, there is a scrim that gives it strength. And you can't really see it, but it's a little white line right there. So that's actually a polyester scrim. So that's not a natural thing. I'd like to make that natural, but used cotton, it's not as strong. It won't give you the strength. So we're doing a balancing act here with that.
So poly is plastic or something.
Right.
So to make this truly like biodegradable, you'd have to find an alternative.
We'd have to do a cotton, which we haven't been able to find a cotton. This is it's very, our goal of making everything in the U.S. isn't always easy.
Right.
And there's not U.S. manufacturers for certain things, and we cannot find a cotton scrim that will work inside this mat.
So with straight up, like not in a competitive way, which I know you're very respectful about other companies out there, but straight up, do you think this is the greenest mat on the market?
Well, there's going to be a balance. I'll say straight up that I wish there was no poly in that.
Yeah.
There is a mat out there. It's made in the UK. It's made of latex and jute. I don't know what else is in that mat. I have no idea.
Right.
There could be
synthetic bindings.
I wish I had a jute foundation in this mat.
Yeah.
It wouldn't look the same. It wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't work the same. And I think our mat performs better for a yoga mat.
Right.
But
so on balance, doing good for the world. We'll talk about that part in a bit because that's pretty cool. Performance, I've used them. They're super sticky. They're exactly what you think. I've used some of the straight up rubber mats and they stunk so much. It was difficult for me and they itched and stuff. These don't strike me.
It's interesting. There are different qualities of rubber in the world, and if you were to take this mat and just smell it, it's going to smell like rubber. But what it smells like, go ahead audience, smell it. How does it smell?
We're in Boulder. You should take a big long drag of something that's rolled up.
So there's other mats out there. You can go and smell them, and to me they smell like a wet cigar or a pigsty or something like that. And that is a lower grade of rubber. So you have
and they irritate my eyes,
C,
and I'm not allergic or anything. They're intense.
Right. And that's the quality of rubber. And so again, made in the U.S., we can control the quality of the materials that go into it, and the quality of the rubber is important because of the smell, also because of the performance. Rubber has the grip. The better the rubber, the better the grip.
So you might be not knowing what they put in their mat, you might be the first or second greenest mat, and then performance-wise, one of the best.
Well, I'm going to say no question.
That you're going to say number one.
Yeah.
And then what's the good? So you do some good stuff. I joked. I interviewed one of your employees last year briefly at Yoga Journal conference. The colors often mean something with your mat company. What do they mean?
So, for example, with the teal mat, we donate $5 sale of every teal mat to ovarian cancer charities. And this came about because a friend of mine had ovarian cancer, and she saw that we did a pink mat for breast cancer, and she said, well, why don't you do a teal mat for ovarian cancer? And I said, well, because teal won't sell. It's too bright. It's not earthy enough. And she kept bugging me. And finally I said, okay, we'll do a teal mat. And now people love it. The color came out great. People love this teal mat.
I want it on both. You can pull it back if you need Dean in there better. Cool.
And we've sold, I'd say, 20,000 of these teal mats so far, which means over $100,000 for ovarian cancer.
I think if you called it turquoise.
I think it would do better.
I mean, everyone loves turquoise. It's
but
pretty good looking.
But teal is the ovarian cancer color.
Oh,
so we have to go with teal.
I see. All right. Well, good work. So yeah, you have the ovarian cancer teal mat. Do you have other ones?
We have a saffron mat that we use to raise money for autism causes.
Mm-hmm. And how did that come about? They come about in a kind of organic way.
Yeah, it's all sort of the things that strike us as a company. And I have a very good friend who has a son with autism. One of our employees, her brother has autism, and it's something that I think a lot of people are nervous and scared about and don't really understand. Both when they have a family member with it or know somebody with it, and I think it's just the awareness issue is just huge, and I want to get that awareness out there. And we've worked with some great organizations that are bringing autism to yoga for people with autism, and they're having real success with that. So it kind of made sense to get into that.
So basically, just to keep it super simple, we don't have to go on forever. If you want to walk your talk, be earth friendly. This is a very good mat for that. You're going to be donating. Dean's reminded me that this tree actually means something. So what does that mean?
So about 8 years ago, I was patting myself on the back because we were making this super eco-friendly mat that worked really well, and I was very proud of myself. I said, what a great thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
And somebody said, well, what else are you doing? And I was like, what do you mean? Well, you got to be giving back too. I said, well, isn't making eco-friendly, the most eco-friendly mat, good enough to give back? And she goes, no, you got to do something else. This is the yoga world. You got to do a little bit more. And so we thought about what we could do, and we decided that since the rubber for our mat comes from trees, we should plant a tree with every mat sold. So since 2008, we've planted a tree with every mat sold, and earlier this year, we just went over 1 million trees planted.
And so that's amazing. Maybe if people feel like it, make a little Facebook comment noise. 1,100,000 or something trees planted. Where are these trees?
So we work with an organization called Trees for the Future, and they go mostly into India and Africa, and they go into villages, and they work with that village to see what kind of tree would make sense there. They're not forcing anybody to take trees. They're getting them involved. It's a whole classic teaching.
You come home one day, there's like 1,000 trees in your backyard. You're like, what?
So they figure out, does that village need a tree for erosion control, or a tree for crop, or a tree for fuel, or a tree, whatever that village needs. They'll go in there and they'll show the people why the tree, how to plant the trees, why they're important, and make it a sustainable project. So hopefully these 1 million trees build upon themselves and become even more trees.
That's amazing. So then, one super practical thing, do you have any tips for how to clean your eco rubber mat so it lasts forever?
Well, you got to keep it clean because the dirt will sort of wear it out.
Yeah.
But the best way to keep it clean is just a damp cloth. And just wipe it down once in a while.
So no vinegar or anything?
You don't need
whatever.
any kind of chemical at all. And just wipe it down with damp cloth, put it in the tub, put it in the shower. The one thing about natural rubber to be aware of is you can't leave it out in the sun. So you really, this UV rays of the sun will cause it to break down.
So, and just a final reminder, and if you have anything else, I'm in no rush certainly, but a final reminder that what percent, 95% or something of yoga mats, 90% of yoga mats out there are made out of PVC, out of toxic stuff. You don't want it on your fingers, you don't want it on your forehead, you don't want it on your
I see PVC
floor.
mats. If I ever pick one up, I immediately go and wash my hands. I can't stand it. But yes, 90%.
You don't want it on your planet. You don't want it in your health. You just don't want it around.
It's a bad idea.
So this is conscious consumerism. This is a big moment. If we could flip that statistic, so it'd be only 10% of yoga mats are PVC or whatever. Just get rid of them.
Yeah, unfortunately, the PVC mats are really cheap. So a lot of beginners will start with that because they say, I don't know if I'm going to stay with yoga because it's only so I'm going to spend $20. A lot easier to spend 20 than 60 or 70.
Well, at least we'll save you 10 or 20 bucks or whatever on shipping. So free shipping. The comment is in the comments. It's from Dean. So thank him.
Code elephant.
The code is elephant. Not too hard to remember. I'm going to very quickly go through comments with Dean here.
And the website where you're going to get that free shipping is jadeyoga.com.
That's why he's good at what he does, and I'm me. That's the difference between us. jadeyoga.com, but it's in comments, so they just click the, see? And it's linkable.
Nicely done.
First 500 of you. So
the other thing I want to say about the PVC mats, just to finish that up.
Yeah, please.
So if you're a beginner and you're starting, you're going to buy a PVC mat. What I think is true is you're going to more likely become an intermediate yogi if you start with a mat you like, and not a mat that you're afraid to go on and afraid you don't like. So spend the extra money, get a natural rubber mat, and you're more likely to stick it out your practice. And I hear that every day from people that it's changed their practice to be on a rubber mat. They no longer don't want to get on their mat.
Well, it's the same thing with like bicycling or climbing or whatever. It's like if you start with something decent, that'll make the experience enjoyable and safe. So Julie, you have a comment. Yoga ends up hurting me every time I've tried it. I love that you said that. I have a blog called The Future of Yoga. Travis, if you can leave that in the comments. People say it's pretentious to define good yoga. I actually, in that blog, define good yoga. One of them is alignment. And too many yoga classes you go to these days don't even mention alignment. So check out that blog, Future of Yoga. UK, we got a couple UKers. Cocoa Beach. Yeah, Marty, exactly. Most of us never even think about this, right? You don't think about what's inside of a mat.
Right.
New Hampshire, kids yoga teacher. Yeah, so obviously mats are particularly important for children who are developing.
And coincidentally enough, we're launching kids yoga mat in September.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be the first natural rubber kids yoga mat out there on the market. So
what's a kids yoga mat? Just smaller and cuter?
Smaller and PVC.
Does that have
until
like
September.
Dinosaurs on it or something?
It can have print. Ours won't have print, but ours will not have PVC either.
It'd be cool if you partnered with we did a cover with Laurent de Brunhoff of Babar Yoga.
Oh, yeah.
And put the Babar Yoga on there. Like the poses could all be on there. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah.
I'm sure he'd do that for free. Yeah, another person, Rochelle, I've never thought about the production and ingredients in yoga mats. So that's actually a goal of yours, which maybe we could almost conclude with, which I love. Oh, you didn't want to mention that part.
Well, we're working on some things.
Hypothetically,
we want to keep them.
Yeah.
We want to make it a surprise when it comes.
Yeah, basically at some point you'll know exactly what's in the mat, down to the inch. All right, Belgium, Marjan. I bought a Manduka Pro Light. I experienced it's not so sticky. What's the difference with jade mats? Are they sticky? So functionally, are they sticky?
Yeah, that's the real beauty of natural rubber. While I was a lawyer at EPA and I sat around and thought about what kind of product I could make if I ever got it out of being a lawyer at EPA, we thought an eco-friendly product.
Set it up?
An eco-friendly product is great, but it has to work well, and it has to work better than anything else if we're going to expect people to pay more for it.
Yeah.
So natural rubber has naturally better grip than plastics.
No, I mean I can say, and I, those of you who know me, and if you don't know me, I am brutally honest and get into trouble. This is super sticky, and I feel super comfortable on this, and yeah, it's great. One question I would have as a 6'3" person: do I have any issue with this or no?
I brought this mat special for you, Waylon. This is 74 inches long.
Because I love teal.
Yes. So this is that's long. That's still a little bit short for you. That's 6'2". We have a 6'6" mat as well, and we have extra wide mats now too.
Oh, cool! I love wide too.
If you want a little extra space. And there's definitely this yoga for every body movement out there too now. So we recently came out with a mat that's extra wide, extra thick, and extra long, and it's really designed for NFL linemen. Wow. And you're doing yoga now.
That needs to be like red, white, and blue. That's the all-American mat. Way oversized. Go in your huge pickup truck.
Supersize my mat.
Yeah. Okay.
For the people in Belgium and UK, jadeyogashop.eu. They won't have that same coupon code, but you can still get a mat.
Yeah, Travis or someone, can you also put that in the comments? Ashley, what is the best way to dispose of our old PVC yoga mat?
It's unfortunate. There's no real good way. They're not recyclable. They're going to deteriorate in a landfill and break down.
There's a mountain in Nevada, right? You can put it in there with the nuclear waste.
Right.
You just bury it.
Yeah, there are ways, and if you send me an email, I have a list of 25 things to do with your old yoga mat, and some of them may work for PVC.
Maybe we could put that on Elephant too.
We can do that.
And link to you. Then we get a good article. From Kansas, this is the company that also plants trees, right? Yeah, so Raven, we did cover that finally. It took a while for me to get around to it. But yeah, you planted more than 1 million trees. And all different, like diverse trees. These aren't just trees pulled off of the
They're
Home Depot
trees
lot.
that make sense in the atmosphere where they are, the environment where they are.
Irini, I do yoga on the floor mostly. Is that okay?
Absolutely okay.
Yeah, that's the most eco mat there is no mat. If it works for you, I've done yoga on the floor, and sometimes it works for me really well, and then sometimes maybe when I get sweatier or something.
Right, depends on the floor. It depends on what you're doing. Depends on how hot you are. But yeah, for thousands of years there were no yoga mats, so this is a new thing.
So Dory, a bow to you. We didn't start with a bow. That was naughty. We'll end with 2 minutes of meditation in just a second. Rochelle, will these be available in stores or only online? Probably everywhere.
All our mats you can get them at REI, you can get them at independent studios all over the world, really, and you can get them on our website.
Yeah, and if you get them on the website, obviously today or shortly, you can use that elephant-free shipping code.
You can use it right now through December 31st, actually.
All right. From Cindy, I love the Jade Natural Rubber Mat. It's awesome. Keep up the good work. Look forward to checking out the Super Eco Mat. We've now named it the Super Eco Mat. And his little cape on it. Christine from Florida. Christine, love my Jade mat. I got it at Yoga Journal Convention 6 years ago. Use it regularly. Still going strong. Nice, Christine. That's cool. That's Dean's and I's relationship is like a week a year at various Yoga Journal conferences. Leo, what about carpet? Again, I think if you have good grip on the carpet, I think that works. I personally sweat a lot, so I don't really want to do it on my carpet unless I can wash it.
Right, and we actually have a new mat, which I'm going to have to walk across the room for, that's sort of designed for people who are traveling.
Where's Redford? There's Bess.
So this is, if you're in a hotel and you don't want to be on the hotel carpet because yuck, This is our super light Voyager mat. This will fold up to about the size of a yoga block. It weighs about 1.5 pounds.
So you can see, I'm trying to film how light it is, but as opposed to a normal mat, this is, you know, you could
That's
probably
about a
double
pound and a
this
half.
over.
This is about 5 pounds.
Right.
And that will fold up to be about this size to fit into your backpack.
And this
wherever
is
you're
still
going.
just as eco?
Yeah.
Wow,
It's more
I
eco
love
because
this.
it's thinner.
Wow, I love this
It's
one.
less product.
That is cool. You need a travel one for tall people. That'll be my mat. All right. Douglas from Chicago. How can we safely dispose of our old mats once we buy a new one? Again, they're PVC, so there's almost no good use. You could, since they've already off-gassed and everything, you could put them under a carpet or something and use them to be sticky, but you still don't want them around, really.
Yeah, you don't want them around.
Yeah, so maybe a hard-to-recycle center. Do they ever recycle that stuff?
We've spent a lot of time trying to find a way to recycle them, and we can't do it. But again, I have a list.
Yeah, okay, right.
We'll post it on Elephant. Is that where we post it?
Yeah, if you're up for it, or you can go to jadeyoga.com, right?
You can.
To your blog
Yeah.
and read it. Lots of nice comments. How do you know if a mat is PVC? That's a great question. They're not always labeled.
Right. They're usually labeled when you buy them. But there's basically 3 or 4 different types of mats out there. PVC is the most popular. If you paid $30 or less for your mat, it's most likely going to be PVC. There are also some very expensive PVC mats out there too, so you have to be careful to read the label. There's another mat that will say called PER, which is polyvinyl chloride without phthalates, and they've renamed that PER to avoid the label of PVC. So beware of PER mats. There's another type of mat out there, TPE, thermoplastic elastomer.
That's the thing Bernie is against, right? Bernie Sanders is super against TPE.
Is he?
It's a joke. Sorry. It's funny for political nerds, no one else.
TPP, I
Yeah,
think.
no.
So TPE is something we don't really know a lot about yet, and TPE, thermoplastic elastomer, is a really generic term. It doesn't tell you what's in it. So again, ask what's in it before you buy it or after you buy it. If you have your brand name on your mat, call them up and ask them what's in it.
All right, let me see if there's a few more comments to answer, and then we'll wrap up. Yes, I've got a natural rubber mat. So again, make sure it's natural, not synthetic rubber. Know your source. Kyra can't get the link to work, but that could just be one person. Go to jadeyoga.com and use the elephant
In the coupon code. So you have to go through, put your mat in the shopping cart, and then in the coupon code, enter elephant.
Enter elephant. Yeah, and for Europe, Travis or someone put that link in. Thank you. Does the code work for Canada?
It will not work for
jadeyoga.com?
Canada. No.
Canada, you're out of luck.
We'll work on it. Send me an email, and I'll see if I can get our Canadian distributor to.
How does she email you guys? Just info@jadeyoga.com? Yes. All right, so Canada, Jennifer, you can email info@jadeyoga.com. What's the code for the shop? Rob is elephant. Lots of questions. My yoga studio takes old yoga mats and donates to the homeless for under their sleeping arrangement. That's pretty cool. I mean, you definitely want to stay warm out there. Yeah, Carl, another suggestion. I said your name right. Kyra. Awesome. All right, so let's wrap up with a couple moments of meditation. Does that sound good? Do you have
Sounds good
anything
to me.
else
No, I
want to talk about?
appreciate it. No, it's great. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah, maybe we could wrap up with first, maybe mention your origin story if you feel like it. It was so interesting.
Sure, yeah, sure. I mean, Jade is a family business. I'm wearing my Jade shirt. J is for Jackie, is my mother.
Uh-huh.
A is for Amy, is my sister. D is me, Dean. E is Ellen, my other sister.
I never knew this.
I don't know who Y-O-G, no.
Yeah, right.
That's my joke. Company was actually started, it was under another name in 1904 by my grandfather. He came to this country with a few Oriental rugs under his arm and got into the Oriental rug business. In the 70s, my father started making pads to go underneath Oriental rugs. And they were made of the same type of natural rubber product. And I came into the business in about 2000, and at that time found out that some people were using the rug pads as yoga mats, including a woman in South Africa who I've been trying to track down ever since then.
So if you're out there, if you're in South Africa,
listening,
find this lady.
We found out people were using these yoga mats because the natural rubber had better grip and better cushion than the alternative, which was those PVC mats, which also happen to be toxic. So it's sort of a no-brainer. But that's how we started. We started in a rug business, became a rug pad business, became a yoga mat business.
And you became a yoga mat business because some lady, particularly this one lady in South Africa, was ordering tons and tons of these.
That's correct.
Pads.
I did not know about the problem with yoga mats 10 years ago was they were all PVC. They were all slippery.
Right.
PVC also doesn't have as much cushion as natural rubber. It's more air and less cushion. So what do you want in a yoga mat? You want grip and you want cushion, and you probably would be happy to have an eco-friendly product and a non-toxic product. So,
right, I definitely want that.
That's where we are.
Alrighty, well, Dean, thank you. So for those who want to stick around, you can take a good posture. I'm going to introduce a very simple Buddhist meditation, but you don't need to be Buddhist. In fact, it's advisable that you're not Buddhist to do it. You want to join in?
Sure, I'll give it a shot.
It's elephant. You have to get a little weird. Do you mind bringing that back a bit?
Taking it back this way?
Just like filming both of us, yeah. Just so they can see the posture.
Okay.
So take a good upright posture. You could even say like a perfect posture, like if you think about Superman or Wonder Woman, but then relax. Take a good deep breath. Your eyes can be open. This is shamatha, resting the mind in the present moment practice. So many of us get stressed or tired. We have a lot going on. This is a meditation practice to help us rest our minds in the present moment, from which we can do anything. We can be in a relationship, work, whatever. So find your breath in and out. This could be the first time you've really felt your breath all day. It doesn't have to be a special, fancy breath, just your natural breath in and out. So placing your attention lightly on your breath in and out. Now if you find yourself thinking, distracted, thinking about lunch or dinner or a friend or something you need to do, an argument you were in, whatever it is, good or bad, happy or sad, just acknowledge that thought by labeling it silently to yourself. I'm thinking. Just say, thinking. And return your attention to your breath. So you can do that in the morning and before you go to bed, right after you wake up in the morning, right before you go to bed. And then after that, you can dedicate the merit, which we can do together right now. So you can thank Dean for creating the least toxic, most eco-responsible tree planting yoga mat company on the planet. And thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
And thanks to all you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Any parting words of anything?
Let's go do some yoga.
All right. Thanks, guys. We do this Monday through Friday at 11 a.m. MST. And get that free shipping.